Well, NXT happened on Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. Yes, I know. A little late. Had some things to do on Wednesday morning. Had to be in bed really early. Can't blame the guy for that. But we found out some stuff with Vanessa Vacura, what she's doing with the titles. Potential stuff going on for Stand and Deliver. We're talking about that stuff there at NXT. I'm Andrew. This is DA Wrestling. Let's just go. All right, on today's show, like I said, we're going to talk Stephanie Vacura, my favorite topic on NXT. We're talking Sol ROCA versus Chelsea Green for the United States Championship. Yeah, we are. We're going to talk some of the Calling versus the family. It's the Angel family, that is. We're going to talk that brawl that happened in the NXT. We're going to talk a couple other things that happened on NXT. And we're going to talk a little bit about the potential of a certain individual coming over from AEW for a friend. Anyway, if you guys like the content here, make sure you like, share, subscribe down below. Shut the fact the little icon should pop up right here. Right? We thank you for all your support there. It's a small click for you, big click for us here at DA Wrestling. We appreciate it all. We thank you. But let's get to the Stephanie Vacura thing. We now have a good idea of what they're planning on doing with Stephanie Vacura winning, obviously, the NXT Championship a week ago. Obviously, still be the North American champion. So, Stephanie Vacura, for her first promo, right, said that, she basically said that her English isn't that good. She is obviously from Chile, right? Fantastic looking woman, by the way, right? Phenomenal wrestler, too. Like, that's besides the point, right? But she came in NXT because she wanted to be in the best women's division in the world and make it even better. Gave some props to Roxanne Perez, rightfully so, right? When we carried the women's division for quite a while. And she says, whoever comes down the aisle and gets in this ring first will be my first challenger for the NXT Women's Championship. Cue Jordynne Grace. She starts coming down. He's saying, yeah, you should give praise to Perez. She did beat her, by the way. But then, out of nowhere, wham! Jada Parker comes in, takes out Jordynne Grace, gets in the ring, and basically challenges Stephanie Vacura, saying she's not going to wait for anybody who takes her shot. Which Vacura gladly accepted. And it has been signed for next week. Now, the question you're saying is now, everybody asking yourself is, Andrew, he said North American Championship. No, dude, Stephanie Vacura is the North American champion. You're absolutely right. Later on in the show, right, Stephanie Vacura is in the back talking to Ava, a.k.a. The Rock's daughter, right? And Helen Bailey comes out, keeps on complaining that she hasn't got a rematch, that she wants a rematch, right? She says, I want it next week. Ava simply goes, hey, Stephanie already has a match next week. Right? Can't do it. Stephanie's like, you know what? We're going to do it. You do it right after. Valley jumps away, all happy. She gets her match. So next week, Stephanie Vacura is going to end up defending both titles on next week's NXT. So the whole tournament thing, they're not going to bother doing any of that kind of stuff. And they're going to have her hold both titles. And I'm assuming eventually at some point there, Stephanie will probably lose at least one of those titles. My guess is it'll be the North American Championship, not the NXT one. Because my guess is they want to have a rematch with Julia somewhere down the line. Or eventually give it to Jordynne Grace. We'll see. So, next week we're having those matches there. Which is interesting because it's almost looks like they're going to set up what they're going to do. Set up for Stand and Deliver. So, somewhere along these lines here, Jordynne Grace, I'm assuming, will be in a title picture at Stand and Deliver. The question is, which title? I'm almost keen to say it'll be the NXT title, because obviously Jordynne Grace's history with the TNA Knockouts title. Which, by the way, if anybody watched last week's TNA, Cora Jade won the title, the TNA Knockouts title, at Sacrifice from Slamovich. Crazy, eh? Didn't really see that. I mean, kind of figured that was going to happen at some point, that somebody from the WWE NXT would actually win the title in TNA, which means eventually the TNA title, somebody from TNA is probably going to win an NXT title. My guess is probably be the Hardys, but we're going to find out eventually down the line anyway. But yeah, so Corey Jade is a champion now, but in TNA. Crazy, eh? It's kind of amazing how that works. But it looks like that's what they're going to do with Stand Deliver, right? My guess is Jordynne Grace will probably end up getting her shot at Stand Deliver against Stephanie Fakir. I remember I said earlier, right, a few weeks ago, Jordynne Grace is probably just going to be there temporarily. So whether or not they want to give her a title or not is maybe questionable, but we're probably going to have to do that. We're probably going to do that somewhere down the line anyway. But they might even have her go up there after the North American, which I don't see that happening though. But I also don't see Stephanie Fakir just holding the North American title and letting Grace win the NXT title. So who knows right now? There might even be a whole thing where it's a three-way as Stand Deliver. Maybe between Jada Parker and Jordynne Grace and Stephanie Fakir. Or maybe a returning Julia, depending on how long she's out. Lots of possibilities right now. Stand Deliver is the same amount of weeks away as it is from WrestleMania. Because it's going to be on the day of WrestleMania in the daytime. I know. It's like 13 hours of wrestling on Saturday in April. Easter, by the way. Easter weekend. Craziness. Moving on. Sol Roca versus Chelsea Green in the United States Women's Championship in a title match in NXT for the United States Championship. A hell of a showing by Sol Roca. Honestly, I didn't think too much of the girl when I first saw her. I thought her finisher was really cool. I just also find like maybe one of those things that might be hard to even pull off regularly, but it works, right? She's come a hell of a long way. She's definitely long before when I first noticed her last year or a year before that. She's come a hell of a long way. I'm still not sold the whole hang tan vibe thing, but hey, it works, right? She's very pretty too, by the way, right? So have her against Chelsea Green with her two Secret Service agents, the two Scotswomen, right? Who did get involved in the match, right? But obviously Zara took out Alba Fire with a massive spear. Or they just call her Alba now. Then she got taken out by Pepper Niven. But then Sol Roca took out Pepper too. Happens. Right? But the end sequence is very interesting though, too. Right? Chelsea Green ended up winning the match, right? With the unprettier, as we call it. Right? But the sequence is really interesting because he's trying to set up for an unprettier originally. Right? Sol Roca reversed it into almost into a cradle. Into a pin combination, sorry. Right? Chelsea gets out of it. Eventually ends up hitting her with the Predator to retain the title. It was an excellent show by Sol Roca. She's come a long way of where she was doing. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to put her in more of these type of matches. It looks like she's earned it. The question is, though, what are they going to do with Zarya? Because they haven't really done much with Zarya. Obviously, she's getting more and more, a little bit more attention. Maybe they're going to turn, maybe Zarya will turn heel, eventually going to challenge Sol Roca at Stand and Deliver. Because I don't see this friendship thing happening very long. I just don't. It just doesn't make sense to me. In my mind, it don't work. I mean, yes, one's from Australia, right? Lots of surf. The other was from California, I believe. Lots of surf. I get that connection there. But in my eyes, Zarya probably would look better as a heel and a dominating heel than a babyface. But she's got a pretty killer F5. Not bad. It's pretty good, actually. But all in all, it was a really good match. I advise you go watch it. It was the opening match of NXT that day. It was good. It was very good. Go take a look. Judge for yourself. Enjoy that. Let's talk about, though, this big underground thing that they do every so often now. It was Eddie Thorpe versus Trick Williams. Eddie Thorpe, who was supposed to king of the underground, against Trick Williams. It was a pretty brutal, pretty violent match. Really good match, to be honest with you. Trick Williams ended up TKOing, literally. Like he literally mounted him and pounded him to the ground. Getting his win back against Eddie Thorpe. This is going to a trilogy, by the way. More likely, has to be, has to, or at least another match or something, right? Or put Eddie Thorpe somewhere else in this thing. So after the match is over, because this is where it gets really interesting. The four guys who they very Shield-esque show up. But before that, Trick Williams calls out Obafemi, the ruler, scary man who just beat Moose. Comes in the ring. They face off each other while those four Shield guys are watching. Now they're not doing anything because they actually did nothing this whole thing. They just kind of stood there and watched because they didn't need to do anything. Because Javon Evans shows up, gets in the face of both guys. Obafemi pushes him out of the way. He takes out Obafemi. Before that, though, they all start brawling. Like Obafemi and Trick Williams were brawling a lot. They had to pull them all apart. Eventually, I said, Javon Evans does come in. Sorry, I kind of played a little faster there. Comes on in. First of all, takes out Obafemi. Weird, eh? Right? And stands tall with Trick Williams. And he kind of tricks, kind of looks at him like, what the hell are you doing? You're kind of in my way right here. So my guess is somewhere down the lines here, this is going to end up being a stand deliver triple threat match for Obafemi's title. Maybe even a four-way with A. Thorpe. I don't know if the Thorpe's really going to be in there, but I'm thinking they might want to do a four-way. But right now, right, it's either going to be Obafemi versus Trick Williams. But I have a feeling they're going to have Javon Evans slip in there. Obviously, Javon Evans is coming off his win against Ethan Page at Roadblock. So, I don't see Obafemi lose that title anytime soon. I just don't. I see Trick Williams as probably being a swan song at NXT. My guess is he's going to go up at some point, probably in the Raw after WrestleMania or SmackDown after WrestleMania, one or the other. We'll see. But I don't know how this is going to be. But right now, it's looking to me like they're going to have a three-way at Stand Deliver because Stand Deliver season's coming up. For those guys who don't know what Stand Deliver is, guys, it is the NXT equivalent of WrestleMania. Just very, very young version. Ricky Saints versus Ridge Holland. Now, Ricky Saints versus Ridge Holland. Ricky Saints, newest guy there. Having a match against Ridge Holland, a former number one contender. Who basically beat the crap out of Saints most of the match and had Saints playing defense. Now, I understand the fact that Saints is supposed to be this big star here, right? And I have him as a fighting, resilient babyface who ends up winning the match with a modified Rochambeau. But if you guys want to present him more of like a title threat kind of guy, you need to represent him a little bit better than it. I understand Ridge Holland is a bigger dude than Ricky Saints is. I understand that completely. Right? But they really should have focused maybe a little more on how Ricky Saints is a lot more offensive than he is defense. He's okay, but nothing wrong playing defense. But someone like Ridge Holland, in theory, should beat Ricky Saints in a heartbeat. But then again, this is WWE, not real life. Let's be honest. It's exactly what it is. So, Ricky Saints ends up winning the match with the Rochambeau, modified Rochambeau. He embarrasses Ridge Holland because Ridge Holland pretty much dominated the match the entire time. Poor Ridge Holland, damn it. I don't know how I feel with Ridge Holland right now. I don't know if I like him better as a brawling brute or the way he is now. I understand the reason why I sent him back to NXT was because obviously the Big E thing, but I think he's come a long way since then. But with Ridge Holland, I find down the line, maybe we will maybe he will eventually improve to the point where they're going to put maybe a North American title on him. Maybe. I'd be stretching it. But what came interesting the most after this was that Ricky Saints had a little interaction with the Culling. And you know who's at the Culling, folks? Who's the leader of the Culling? Shawn Spears. Now, these two go back to the age of AEW. They both were in AEW, exact same time. So it looks to me like they might go that way somewhere down the line. Obviously, the current men's North American champion is Shawn Spears. Right? Is it possible they're going to do Shawn Spears or build something up between Shawn Spears against Ricky Saints for Stand Deliver? It's a possibility. I don't know if that's really going to go there right now. Shawn Spears, because I would see Ricky Saints winning that match. I don't see Shawn Spears winning that match currently. But then again, Shawn Spears just won the North American title literally 2 weeks ago. So if that's the way they want to go, Ricky Saints obviously give him a North American title first. See how he does with it. See if he can build on this to eventually be in the NXT, because I see him eventually being the NXT champion somewhere down the line. I mean, he might end up being FEMI for it, because I don't think FEMI is going to be that much longer in NXT. But I don't think they're going to put Ricky Saints into that title match for the NXT title at Stand Deliver. I think that's literally reserved for Trick Williams and possibly Javon Evans. So I could see the Ricky Saints going after Shawn Spears. But we had a little interaction between it, not much, nothing really was said. The only thing he really said to him was, "You shouldn't be smiling or laughing." Right? All Spears did was kind of chuckle at him a little bit and gave him a little look, that little Shawn Spears typical look. The chairman look, you might say. We'll keep you posted, though, what goes on more of that with every NXT that goes on. We'll see if there's more interaction between that. Because there are obviously people from AEW who were there with Ricky Saints and with Ricky Starks, who was Ricky Starks in AEW. Guys like Ethan Page, right? Like Shawn Spears. So where are they going to go? Now, I did mention the Culling. Now, Culling had a match with the D'Angelo family. Right? It was a three-way match, right? A mixed three-way match, that is. So, obviously, right, the D'Angelo family, right, minus Tony versus the Culling, minus Shawn Spears. But he was at ringside. Izzy Dame's a nut job. Doesn't give a damn what she does. Doesn't want to do crazy stuff. Good for her. Right? Now, the D'Angelo family had this match pretty much almost won at one point, right? The big lawyer guy nearly almost took him out, right? Those Stacks, had a great performance in this thing too. But the four so-called Shield guys, I like to call them that, right, ended up taking out Tony D. And they showed this to him while in the match, which distracted him long enough for the Culling to end up getting the win. So the way it's looking right now is they might end up doing something with the D'Angelo family against these four guys in the Shield. I think the stuff with the Culling is done. But it remains to be seen what they want to do with the Culling. Right? It's a really stupid name, by the way. The Culling. What is that? Comment down below if you know what the hell that Culling means. I have no idea. I have a clue. Silly name. But it's a good, right? But they may want to revisit something with the D'Angelo family against these four members Shieldless guys. Because it seems like they want to build these guys up pretty well to be like the Shield. Hence why I call them the Shield guys. All right? Determined young guys, speak very much like the Shield, talk very similar like the Shield, one after one after one. Very Shield-esque. So they don't have the video camera stuff they put down. The video camera stuff. But it looks like they might want to go this route with the D'Angelo family. It's a possibility they might want to go, because I don't think the Culling's going to be around much longer. I think the Culling has other things to worry about and do, like tag team titles and women's gold. Okay? Most part, that was NXT, guys. Good show. right? Couple highs, couple lows. Honestly, the Stephanie Fakir stuff's really interesting, right? Take a look at the Sol Roca versus Chelsea Green match. It was a lot of fun, very good match. Check out the Culling versus the Family. That was a good match. Even the underground match with Eddie Thorpe and versus Trick Williams at the Brawl after. But move on to the last thing we want to talk about here. Now, word is in the world of professional wrestling, obviously WWE is having the Hall of Fame coming up. They have mentioned now inside reports have been saying through PW Insider, all that stuff. I've been saying that the WWE is trying to talk to AEW about borrowing Sting for the Hall of Fame to induct his friend Lex Luger, because obviously they go way back from the days of WCW all the way through the '90s, all together. So it'd be interesting, interesting to see what AEW does if they allow Sting. Now, it depends on how Sting's contract's set up. Right? I'm sure he still has like some kind of Legends deal with them. So it might be hard pressed for AEW to allow Sting to do it. I personally think they should allow it. It's not like it's one of those things where like, okay, well, we're gonna not let him do it, even though he's best friends with Lex Luger. It's kind of petty, don't you think? Well, you guys, I mean, I can see their argument. Well, you guys took, CM Punk and Cody from us. They left on their own accord. Well, Punk didn't. Well, Punk kind of did. Cody did. So, and obviously the eventually of the coming in of Ray Phoenix and Aleister Black or Malachi Black. So, I mean, yeah, I can see where AEW's kind of like fishy on this one, but it's Sting. Sting's not going to compete in WWE. He did that already. It was kind of okay. He's not going to compete in WWE. He just wants to. If anything, he would go there just to induct Lex Luger. That'd be the end of it. Nothing wider. I mean, he's already in their Hall of Fame, God's sakes. More to come on that one eventually, though. Probably we might not find anything till later on, or maybe not even till maybe in a few weeks from now. We'll find out. Obviously, the Hall of Fame will be in a few weeks. I believe the night before WrestleMania. So, hey, you might see Sting induct Lex Luger, which would make the most sense, especially for all the years they were together. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much the NXT report. A little bit of AEW in there too. Obviously, AEW Dynamite's going on right now. Right, it is post like the Copeland versus Moxley match, title match, street fight. I think it is. I'll let you know probably tomorrow, maybe, or maybe next week, on how that went out. Who knows? I haven't decided yet. But guys, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you follow us on all our socials there. X at AMP1982, D Lions 1991, DA Wrestling or DA Sports Pod, whichever one you want to find on X, DA Sports on TikTok. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe on Podbean, Spotify, and don't forget to on YouTube, of course, folks. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful one. This is Andrew from DA signing out. Later, boys.